You're listening to All Things Real Estate on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN. Once again, here's your hosts, Gary Kelley and Brad Avergon.
Hi, and welcome to All Things Real Estate on WCRN. Brad, I feel like I just came out of the basement. I'm covered with dust. I got to clean myself off because we're in a new time.
We made the prime time, buddy. This is it now. We're at the big show time. This is it. This is Broadway.
So for the people that haven't had the luxury of meeting Gary and Brad, I'm Gary Kelley. I am a realtor with RE/MAX Executive Realty, and I'm joined by
Brad Avergon. I'm a senior loan officer with Envision Bank and Mortgage, and I've been in the industry for about 34 years writing mortgages, helping.
That's the senior part of it, isn't it?
That's where the gray hair comes in, brother.
So I have this theory, Brad, that we've gone from Sunday mornings at 8:30 to 1 o'clock on Fridays, the third Friday of every month. And I like to say that, people on Friday afternoons, they're starting to head towards the door. So I think we're now in drive time. That's the way I'm looking at this. Drive time, baby.
I think that's it. We moved up from 8:30 on 8:30 to Friday afternoon on 8:30 a.m. All good, though.
That's the radio station moving us around.
That's it.
8:30 and 8:30 was kind of working for me, but 1 o'clock on 8:30, it doesn't have the same ring to it.
No.
So Brad and I, we spend time once a month sitting down and chatting about things in real estate, and it is whatever is going on in our world. And I would tell you, having done this now for, I have to look back, but over a year, that we just, whatever is the hot topic for us is what we tend to bring to the table. Now, obviously, we don't talk about specific clients. We recognize confidentiality and all that. But at the same time, we try to make it timely and what's going on and burning in people's hearts right now. And one of the things that I get asked a lot is, what's driving real estate activity? Brad, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think overall what's driving, real estate activity is demand. I mean, there's, when I get back to my way back in college, the laws of supply and demand are consistent. They always have been and they always will be. And when you've got demand that exceeds supply, which is where we are now, you're going to have, prices increase. Now, we've seen a move to get back to normalcy, a little bit more normalcy than it was the craziness of last spring. But we've still got a supply demand curve that we're looking at where demand far exceeds supply. And I think that's part of what's really driving the market more than even interest rates or anything else.
A lot of people like to talk about inventory. Inventory is down. Well, okay. What I think has been happening is real estate has traditionally followed a very predictable cyclical cycle. There you go. A predictable cycle. And right now, after COVID, we have fewer homes on the market. That's because whatever we have on the market is tending to get snapped up right away. And that is why I think people say there's no inventory. Okay, that's a piece of what's going on. And then if you're a first-time buyer out looking for a property, you're looking at things and then you're getting like dope slapped around. It's bad. What do I mean by that? You're putting in an offer. Let's say that the property is worth $300,000. And because you are a first-time buyer, you know more about this than most. And so what you do is you say, I'm going to offer $280. And the real estate agent sits there and says, really? In this market, it's going to be, kind of a head shake on that. And that's what they do. And then they get turned down. So the next $300,000 home that they look at, they said, well, we learned from the last one, we're going to go $285. And, they get turned down. I had one client once years ago that said, I'm going to spend whatever it takes. And I said, well, actually, you're not. I'm not going to allow that. There comes a point where it just doesn't make sense. And in a long story short, they actually did get the house and everything worked out fine. But the whole, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't think that concept works. You need to work with a real estate agent. You need to work with a loan officer. And there's an extended team of people that we call on a lot, be it legal, be it, for getting a house in the market, painting. There's a guy, Nick Martinelli, who listens to this show. So Brad, we actually have someone that listens, and Nick has a painting company. You can reach Nick at 508-757-4559. Nick, when we have a problem that we need to get taken care of, like right before pictures, I'll call Nick and I'll say, Nick, I need you to perform a miracle. And he'll say, oh, brother, I'm just really backed up. I'm booking a month out. I no way. When do you need it done? How about the end of the week? Okay, when can I see it? That's the kind of thing where having those people as part of a team, people that can look and say, those windows need to be replaced. What's the average replacement cost on a window? We've brought people into the table that home inspectors, clearly, but also building inspectors and people that are in the trades, just so invaluable in that process. What do you see, Brad? I mean, you've gone through this a couple of times recently.
So, yeah, I mean, I think having a team of people that you can rely on, that do a good quality work and honest work and aren't going to kind of, drag you over the coals in their fees. Gouge you is really, really important. The other thing that I think is just as important, and you brought up a really good point with this, is when somebody says to you, no matter what, we're going to get this, whatever it takes, I think were the words you used. And I think one of the things that you, Sue, provide and that I provide and that good realtors do is a sense of reason, a sense of balance, because it's very easy. If you've been turned down a few times on your bids for a home, it's very easy to get caught up in that fervor, in that fever, and say,
I call it a feeding frenzy.
What did you call it?
Feeding frenzy.
Feeding frenzy. It's very easy to get caught up in that feeding frenzy and to lose that sense of reason. And I think that's where your experience and my experience can say, you know what do you think this house is worth? Let's go to that level. And if you have to go a little bit over, but let's not go crazy, because there's going to be another house down the road. And what we don't want, and you hear about, is people that sometimes will buy a home and they do get caught up in that feeding frenzy and they end up with buyer's remorse. They end up saying, oh my gosh, we paid too much. We didn't understand. We got all caught up in the emotion of it. And it's, again, it's their home. They picture themselves in it. They get excited. But for you and I, we have that ability to be that neutral third party and say, okay, let's try to be reasonable. Yes, we are in a market where you may have to pay a little bit of a premium, but let's not put it all down there. And I think sometimes that really helps our clients a lot and distinguishes good realtors, good mortgage people from other people that just are there, might be taking an application or just selling a home. You need that sense of advisors, those board of advisors, and I think that makes a difference in this market more than just your average market, right? Because the average market, you can make a little bit of mistakes. The market can be forgiving. Not in this one.
People like to say it's the largest purchase you'll make in your life, and generally speaking, that's indeed the case. And as you look at that, you want to make sure that you're not buying something that's a disaster. What's a disaster? Something where there are structural issues, issues where there are life safety, issues with mechanical. Those are some of the big ones. The things that are more aesthetic, I tend not to get worried with, because paint can take care of a lot of that. And if you get into making a place look better, paint, flooring, etc., that can actually be a fun process to go out and select the color. And I've known people, I've actually lived with people that have colored like 15 different swatches on the wall so that they can see the wall at the right time of day. Frankly, I don't have the patience for that. in my mind, you look at the color, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I know a lot of people like to agonize over that, and they find that fun.
But I think the other thing that's really important, Gary, and I can think of two particular instances with clients that we shared where the aesthetics of the house looked nice. The aesthetic, you walked in the house, the kitchen looked nice. In one case, the kitchen was redone, but there were structural issues that were not perceived by the buyer. They didn't understand the seriousness of the nature of the problem. And you and I had to be the educator, the kind of don't shoot the messenger kind of thing. Say, hey, listen, this is kind of a walk away. This is a walk away house. You do not want to get into this, no matter what it looks like upstairs. This is a problem.
Years ago, I was part of a group that did development. We never did home inspections on things because we had our own construction crew. Virtually any problem we could take care of. So if there was a leak or whatever, we had the wherewithal to take care of that. If you're a first-time buyer and you're shaking out the couch to try to get the money together for a down payment, then you don't want to see people get into something where right off the bat they need a major repair that costs maybe $10,000. Just if a place needs a new roof, $10,000 is not out of the realm of reason for a roof. If there's foundation issues, that could be a very expensive issue. And there are parts of Massachusetts where there's a crystal that's actually been mixed into the cement and the foundations are crumbling. More towards Western Mass, it's all based on where the stuff was mined, but it can be ugly. So Brad, if someone wants to reach out to you during the commercial break, how would they call you?
Best way to reach me is via my cell phone, which is 978-375-5531, or via email at bavergon, that's BAVERGON @envisionbank.com. And Gary, how do they reach you?
My cell phone is 508-733-6005, and I can be reached at Gary@movewithgary.com. So let's pay some bills. Let's take a commercial break, and we'll come back and continue about what's driving the market. I contend it's life driving the market.
See you on the flip side, Gary.
You've been listening to All Things Real Estate on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN.